I've been waiting a long time to say this. There is a connection between the behaviors associated with autism spectrum disorder and the health of the gut microbiome, and therefore diet plays a role. Back in 2007, my wife Holly and I received an autism spectrum disorder diagnosis for our daughter Tula, and through the help of a very forward-thinking doctor, we decided that we were going to try to help her and affect change in her behaviors by focusing on her gut through her diet and fermented foods. When we did this in 2007, it raised a lot of eyebrows, and a lot of people did not believe in what we were doing. I'm not going to go into great depth about Tula's story of recovery from autism through diet and fermented foods. That story is on the website. You can read Tula's story there. But I want to talk about how science in 2007 and science today in 2019 have come full circle. At that time, there was some science coming out that were suggesting a strong link between gut microbia and brain chemistry and behaviors, but that science had not been proven out to be fact, and it was merely suggested that more research needed to be done. My wife and I felt that it was scientifically reasonable that this could be the case, and since treatment involved simply a change in foods, then we didn't see any harm in trying. After all, this is just foods. There's no side effects from foods. I recall at the time that big autism research funding organizations like Autism Speaks actually published articles saying there is not a link between diet and gut and the behaviors associated with autism. They have since flip-flopped on that, and to their credit, I appreciate that they have done that, and the science has caught up. The Economist magazine recently published an article in their Science and Technology section titled Guts, Brains, and Autism. And in that article, they talked about how within the scientific community and within the medical community that true paradigm shifts are extremely rare, but that is exactly what is going on around thought regarding gut and brain and behavior and autism, and I'm going to throw in ADHD there also, and I'm going to throw in anxiety. I'm going to quote directly from the article. This is a recognition that the zillions of apparently non-pathogenic bacteria, good guys, on and in human bodies, hitherto largely ignored, are actually important for people's health. They may even help to explain the development of some mysterious conditions. One such condition is autism. The article goes on to cite a specific study that was published earlier this year in the medical journal Scientific Reports. In this study, researchers found that children with autism and autism spectrum disorder were lacking a particular strain of bacteria in their guts. When they reestablished that strain of bacteria in the gut, they noted a significant change in behavior and reduction in the behaviors that are typically associated with autism. In short, by manipulating only bacteria in the gut, no drugs here, they were able to effect a change in the behavior of the child on the autism spectrum. The study noted that 8 of the children in the study group had a reduction in behaviors that, and I'll quote, fell below the diagnostic cutoff point for autism spectrum disorder altogether, meaning they stopped exhibiting the behaviors that earned them the diagnosis. What do we call that? The other thing that's very significant about this study is it was done with human beings and not mice. There have been a lot of studies going back to 2007 and even prior where autistic behaviors in mice have been turned on and off like a light switch by affecting gut microbia in the gut. And so this is really significant that we're not just looking at mice anymore. These are human beings in this study as subjects. So while my wife and I at the time did not have that kind of scientific precision, we had this what seemed like a reasonable idea that if we could just change the foods we're eating, we might be able to affect a change in our daughter. We did have some science on our side because we did have a lab kit. We took stool samples from our daughter and sent them to a lab and had them analyzed. Anyone can do this, and did establish the fact at that time that she was deplete in good, healthy gut bacteria, and that she was replete or overgrown with yeasts. So we knew there was a problem that was physical and that we needed to address. And in the back of our minds, not so far back, we had the hope that this would change her behaviors. Well, it absolutely did. And by the time Tula was going into kindergarten, she no longer exhibited the behaviors, just like the 8 children in this study. And she was mainstreamed, as they used to say back then. She went in without a diagnosis into kindergarten and has been thriving ever since. She's a happy, healthy, normal teenager now. I hesitate to use the word normal because she's quite extraordinary on a lot of levels. Do I believe that every child that does exactly what my wife and I did will come off of the autism spectrum? Will they have a reduction in behaviors to a point where they lose or drop the diagnosis? I'm not going to say that, but I do wholeheartedly believe that some change, some positive effect can happen, and there can be some reduction in behaviors, not the least of which is the anxiety that these children really struggle with. And isn't that worth every effort? And I'll remind you one more time, we're only talking about changing foods here. Parents of children with autism should not hesitate to make safe dietary changes that will promote the growth of healthy bacteria in their children's gut microbiome. Gone are the days where there's any doubt about this area, and there is a gut-brain connection through the enteric nervous system and through chemical messages that the gut bacteria are giving out. I suggest a diet that feeds healthy bacteria, so that means prebiotic fiber, a diet that does not feed pathogenic yeasts which send out brain-disrupting chemicals. Those yeasts eat sugar and high glycemic carbohydrates. Cut those, strict limits on those, and feed high nutritious foods, and also combine foods properly. Every child is different. I don't suggest every child is going to have the exact same level of change, but something will change, and it will be good. And it does take a concerted effort in the kitchen, in the grocery store, in restaurants, but you can do it. Thanks for watching. If you want to stay informed about the latest in gut health, please like this video and subscribe. If you have a question or a comment, please leave it below. I always try to respond. And if you feel this information could be helpful to others, please share it. Thanks for watching.